You're watching E.T.N, where we don't do news, we just talk entertainment. Share and subscribe.
Hey guys, welcome to Entertainment Talk Nation. This is Rob. This video, we are going to do my review for Godzilla vs. Kong. I'm actually recording this live on stream. So say hi to chat if you're watching a video or chat. Say hi to those watching. So I finally got to see Godzilla vs. Kong. I waited till 3 a.m. Wednesday morning to watch it. We had a fantastic stream here on the channel, almost 6 hours, and it was a bunch of fun. We had a bunch of giveaways. We had a bunch of people here, even early into the morning. There were about 300 people here just chilling and having a lot of fun. So it was definitely a fun experience, but let's talk about this movie. So Godzilla vs. Kong, the fourth movie in the Monsterverse, and now this pits Godzilla and Kong clashing. And, you know, I got to say, I enjoyed this movie. I had to watch it at least twice before I did this review because the first viewing was a whiplash effect. The movie is so fast paced and there's a lot going on, and I kind of wanted to take things in. And I did feel like a second viewing was much required before I even spoke about it on video. So my initial thoughts on the movie, without getting into spoilers or into too many details, is I enjoyed it thoroughly. Now, that's not to say it's perfect, because it's not. And there are a lot of issues with this movie that, and some in particular, that really kind of peeved me, but I'm going to get into that when I do spoilers. And I'm talking spoilers on the stream. I will be sure to cut and highlight that and put it on the channel exclusively so you guys can check it out. But overall, in this movie, we finally find out that Kong is basically being utilized in some way. Twofold. Number one, there's a group of people who want to help Kong find a new home. Apparently, Skull Island has become very unstable, and while they have a certain part of the island sectioned off for Kong and protected, it's only a matter of time before he's just going to outgrow it, basically. And at the same time, Godzilla is spazzing out, as you all know, and nobody's really 100% certain why he is. But there is a company called Apex that wants to help stop him. And to do that, they need to kind of get a power source, they believe, from the Hollow Earth. And this is where the whole Kong thing is like twofold. On one hand, there's a group of people who want to help Kong find home. On the other hand, there's a group of people who want to use Kong to get that power source they need to help stop Godzilla. And this is where Apex and Monarch actually meet down the middle, and they head on to an adventure to the Hollow Earth. And then, while this is going on, Godzilla, of course, as I said, is spazzing out. Now, the story from there, like I said, is very, very fast paced. You know, not the strongest story, of course, but much better, in my opinion, than King of the Monsters. And also, the comedy is much improved. It's not heavily drowned with comedy, and whatever little bit of comedy spots that are in there do finally work. So I was very happy about that. I do feel that there were a lot of story elements that they had opportunities for that they just completely threw by the wayside. And I was very disappointed about that. And like I said, I'll get into that in more spoiler territory. But the part of the story that did work was Gia and Kong. And Gia is a young girl who has a relationship with Kong. She's pretty much the last survivor of the Iwi tribe. If you saw Kong Skull Island, the Iwi tribe that lived there were more or less wiped out because of this endless storm that seems to be hovering over Kong Skull Island. And if you have any interest of the Monsterverse beyond the movies, that story will be told in Kong's comic book coming out in April, early April. So this journey goes to the Hollow Earth, and I gotta say, look, the visuals in this movie are the best in the series. Just phenomenal. The Hollow Earth was a beautiful sight to look at, and very unique. It's the kind of world I want to stay. I wish we could have stayed longer in that world, and I wanted to learn more about it. But again, this is a very fast-paced movie. They know that there are just a greater amount of people that are going to watch this movie and really just want to get to the meat and potatoes. And I get that. As a kaiju fan, as someone that's been following the Monsterverse for going on 8 years now, there's been a lot of lore potential for the Monsterverse that I just don't think they've taken advantage of, and I understand why. I understand that one of the reasons is because there are just a large amount of people who watch these movies for the monsters. I get that. So we hit to the climax of this movie once Kong does find his home, and when he finds his home is also when Apex finds the power source they need, and this is where things all, like hell starts to break loose. This is where you find out that Apex was just basically using Kong, and the Monarch team is kind of they come out ahead. You know, Monarch and Apex come out ahead here, and then Kong and Godzilla are now on a collision course at this point in the movie, and that's when the movie really just takes off. That point going forward into the movie is just breathtaking. Not only the visuals, this is the best fighting in the Monsterverse. The brutality amongst these monsters in this movie is insane. You know, it's not what we're used to from Godzilla movies of the past, even the ones back in Toho. You know, when he fights Ghidorah in King of the Monsters, it is a great fight. We all love it, but it's a very lumbering fight, very slow, very methodic. This battle, you know, really, really fast paced. I mean, this movie is just on high octane, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think it serves the movie well, especially considering that they just completely flopped on certain story elements and opportunities. You know, Team Kong was definitely the more endearing team in terms of story. As I said, Gia and Kong's relationship is very charming, and they are able to communicate through sign language. Rebecca Hall's character later finds out that Kong can also communicate through sign language. He never originally wanted other humans outside of Gia to know that. And this is kind of how they kind of entice him to go into the Hollow Earth. There are a lot of just leave logic at home. Okay, just leave logic at home. Don't try to understand why certain things that are happening. You're not going to make sense of it. It's not supposed to make sense. It is 100% sci-fi fantasy. Things that happen in this movie have no chance of happening in the real world. Once you accept that, you'll enjoy the movie a lot more. Finally, you know, so in terms of story elements, like I said, very, very little there. Okay, it's basically A to B to C to D and then climax. Visually stunning. Music, mediocre at best. I'm not saying the music was bad. There were certain parts of the movie I thought the music was fantastic. In particular, the end. During the fighting, the last fighting sequence at the end, leading into the very end credits of the movie, I thought the music was very good. But for the most part, throughout the rest of the movie, the music was quite forgettable. I don't think this is necessarily because the music's bad, but when you have to follow up on Bear McCreary and what he did for the King of the Monsters soundtrack, I think you're in an uphill battle. I think you're in an uphill battle. So I'm going to take my time at some point to listen to the soundtrack individually, separate from watching the movie, to kind of really take it in. But I can't say that it made the movie any better, but it certainly didn't make it worse. I think if that's being fair, but there are certain parts where the music is very nice. And like I said, in particular, the very end. In terms of the actors and actresses, you know, Millie Bobby Brown was fine. She does what she does. Brian Tyree Henry was a pleasant surprise in this movie. I think he made Team Godzilla much more interesting than I think they should have been. Team Godzilla, their whole purpose was not nearly as interesting or dynamic as Team Kong's. And Julian Dennison was Julian Dennison, I guess. You know, he was okay. If he had not been there, I don't think that would have been missed hardly. But Kyle Chandler's character, Mark Russell, was, I believe, a waste, a big waste. You know, he was like basically an extended cameo. He didn't really have a big role. Alexander Skarsgård was perfectly fine. Rebecca Hall was really good. The little girl, I believe her name is Katie Hotto. I forget at the moment, but the little girl who played Jaya was very, very charming. Very nice to watch her. I actually liked Elsa Gonzalez. Was very good. She was a very small part, but she was very effective. She was obviously very attractive, and I definitely enjoyed her when she was on screen. She had a lot of quips, very cocky, very arrogant as the daughter of the person running Apex. So I liked her a lot. And of course, Kong was the heart of this movie. Look, at the end of the day, I see this more as a Kong movie. This to me came off more as a Kong sequel that had Godzilla in it. I don't see this as a dedicated Godzilla movie. And that's okay. I don't have a problem with that. I think they did the wise thing utilizing Kong to tell a lot of the story, because everybody's already conditioned to know that Kong has emotions. He can convey communication, emotions, and feelings. That makes it easier for him to connect with people, and hence makes it easier for him to connect with the audience. Godzilla's never really been that type of character. While you can go back and watch some of the older Toho movies, and there are certain movies where he does convey that, it's not nearly as effective as the way Kong, because we think of Kong, we think of monkeys, apes, primates, and how they're so closely related to humans. Nobody really relates a lizard close to humans, so there's that stigma in there. But what Godzilla is in this movie is someone who, if you've seen the MonsterVerse, you know exactly what's going on with him. This movie treats Godzilla to its viewers as if we know you've seen 2014, we know you've seen King of the Monsters, you know what Godzilla's role is already, you know what he's all about. He only surfaces and he only goes crazy when there's other monsters that are challenging him or other monsters around that are disturbing the balance. That is what Godzilla's there for. And through that, they use it as a catalyst to kind of play him off at the villain, but you find out he really isn't. In terms of who the victor is at the end, to be honest, I gotta say personally, it is very clear who the victor is. And even it doesn't matter who you're a fan of. I can tell you right now that once those credits roll, I think you'll be very satisfied with what you got in this movie, because I just thought they did a good job of conveying that despite who the loser is, these are two very powerful titans. Maybe they might cross paths again one day in the future. Maybe they've come to a certain agreement. Who knows? But at the end of the day, I thought Godzilla vs. Kong was a wonderful experience. I thought the visuals were excellent. I thought the music was okay. The story suffered a great deal, but there is better story elements there than there were in Godzilla King of the Monsters. But I gotta be honest, Godzilla 2014 is still reigns supreme in my opinion. What this movie goes even further than King of the Monsters does when it comes down to just forget any chance of any of this being grounded or logical. They have completely, obviously we already agree, they've completely let that go, but they really let that go in this movie. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. But I still yearn for the kind of Godzilla movie that 1954 was, that 1984 was, even Shin Gojira, even though I wasn't a big fan of that movie, the fact that there were some elements of that movie I really enjoyed and how Godzilla was represented. And then, of course, 2014, I still yearn for that kind of Godzilla movie that can be grounded, that can be taken seriously, and just needs a caring, not to say that these directors didn't care. In fact, to some argument, you could say that they cared too much, you know, in wanting to deliver that fan service. But I still believe, and I hold out hope, there is a tale to tell with Godzilla on the level that we've seen in the past. And I can only hope and wish that one day we get that. But with that said, that's not to take anything away from these MonsterVerse movies. This is the most incredible monster watching experience I've had over the last 7 years with what they've done with the MonsterVerse. It is indeed the second most successful cinematic universe out there. I have no doubts about that. When you're talking in terms of quality and entertainment, you know, I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, well, what about DC? You know, they've made this money, that money. It's not all about the money. I think in terms of sustainability, I think the MonsterVerse, to go into 4 movies, you know, if you're a kaiju fan, you know that the shelf life for some of these movies are very small. For them to get this far and then still entertain on this level, I'm hoping they have one more left in the tank, but we'll have to see. But anyway, guys, that's it for my review. So I would say Godzilla vs. Kong, definitely a solid 8 out of 10. A great installment in the MonsterVerse. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I'm going to watch the shit out of it for the next 30 days and dissect the hell out of it. And that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments how you felt about the movie. If you're interested in seeing what I felt about spoilers and some other details about the movie that I didn't like, that I wish I could talk about here, but I didn't because of the fact that it would give a lot of heavy spoilers away, be sure to check out the stream highlight where I go over spoilers, which I'm going to be doing now with this wonderful chat room and this wonderful audience watching as I speak. All right, guys, that's it for this video. This is Rob signing off for E.T.N, where we don't do news, we just talk entertainment. Take it easy.
Thank you for watching E.T.N. Click here to watch more content. Don't forget to leave a comment. Also, make sure you like and share this video. If you want to know when the next video is up, click the notification bell next to the subscribe button. And most of all, make sure to click that subscribe button for regular content.